creators. How quickly can you return to love after someone has thrown you off? Tonight you're going to meet a man named Addy. And Addy was having such a good time last night. Good friends, good energy, and the lady he likes. But then one small moment changed everything. Addy shared his food with Miss Lady, but when she didn't share hers back with him, something shifted. Suddenly, it wasn't about the food anymore. Now it felt like Addie's energy wasn't being matched in this blossoming relationship. It was as if he cared more. And just like that, a beautiful night became a test. But here's the danger. If Addie carries this feeling forward, resentment will quietly enter the relationship undetected. So tonight, we're not here to decide whether Addie's friend should be in his life or not. We're asking something much deeper. We're asking, how quickly can you return to love when someone pulls you out of it? As usual, Addie is here as your mirror because we've all had a moment when someone didn't respond the way we expected. And suddenly we're no longer experiencing them. We're experiencing the story we keep telling ourselves about them, which is the start of all chaos on earth. Keep it locked because tonight we're going to find out how quickly you and I can return to the path of aware oneness, the path of love. Without further ado, if you're ready to live free beyond fear, welcome here. I'm Dr. Shawn, and I believe you do not need years to heal. You just need one real breakthrough. That's why I invented Transcendent Psychology, and I tested in the real world, on real people, on my game show, Countdown to Breakthrough, the only game show that heals your soul. Right now, you're on the Breakthrough Live, where we break down the science of healing so that you get your own breakthrough live. On today's show, we're working directly with a young man named Adi. I want to start by going into the field. When we return and we come into our laboratory experiment for the evening, our focus tonight is still going to be going deeper as we have over these past few weeks into the very nature of awareness. Our conversation is around aware oneness. When we define love tonight, we are always speaking about love as oneness, love as the totality of reality felt. Which is to say, when I say I love someone, I'm saying I feel one with that person. And so when we talk about aware oneness, we are talking about returning to the fundamental source that undergirds all things. But in order to do that, let us first go into the field and meet Addie directly. Here we go.
Throw this right behind you. Okay. And excellent. What's your name?
Ade.
Ade. I'm Shawn.
Nice to meet you.
And Ade, you know, in order for this mind game to work, right now, this game is all about love. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's why I'm wearing the red suit in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So, for this mind game to work, I need you to think about one person in your life. It could be a mother, it could be a father, it could be a child, it could be a partner. Think about this person, and then think about the last time that they pissed you off. That one time that they just said just one thing that was just like, for real. Let me know when you get it.
Am I supposed to say it or just
Yeah,
think
well,
about it?
I'm gonna ask you, but I want you to pull it up in your mind.
I don't know if this was the last time, but this was a time.
Okay.
That the person pissed me off.
Okay. So who was the person?
A friend.
It's a friend. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And what they say? What was the conversation around?
It was like very petty, low key.
That's okay.
It was over like some food. Like we were out eating together, and it was a situation basically about sharing food. Yeah. It was petty. It was
Okay.
small, yeah.
Well, you
But
say
it didn't necessarily piss me off, but I don't know if that's the best example. It didn't necessarily piss me off, but it was like you said, that reaction, like why are you doing that? You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if they're saying it's about sharing food to them, it's like, well, if he won't share his food, he might not share these other aspects of himself. Can I trust this person? You dig what I'm saying? Like, did it give that energy?
Did it get? I don't know if it got that deep, but
Not that anyone
could
had to
be
think
it.
of
I don't
it,
know.
but if it got petty, it's almost like for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like subconsciously.
Well, she was the one who didn't want to share.
Oh, okay,
She was the one who didn't want to share like a
Okay.
piece of some of her meal after like I shared some food. Yeah.
Okay, so it's the
I literally just think about this because she just called me, so I was just like, I'm sure we've had some run-ins together, so that's why that came to mind. So,
yeah, but it's that reciprocity thing. So you're saying that when you felt it, when you already shared food.
yeah.
So it's like
exactly.
now it's time. You know what I'm saying? Like what you're
Well,
saying.
you know, I mean, we're all out together. You're like, oh, let me taste yours, and then I say, oh, let me taste yours, and then it's an issue.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the situation.
I see.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
It took like 10 minutes to get there, but yes, that was the situation.
Okay, which is a slight betrayal of the contract, right? If we are in a relationship, friendship, I need you to understand what this is at all times, right? And so when somebody breaches that contract, regardless of if it's just a food thing or it could be, we just met a person who had a whole other roommate move in without being told. You know what I'm saying? And so. Right? There's a breach of contract. So let's work with that. 7 minutes on the clock right now. Okay? I'm going to put this right here. And I'm working with a day. Here we go. Ad day? Ad day. Ad day. Okay, I'm working with ad day. So here we go. In your mind's eye, I want you to pull up this best friend. See this friend in your mind. Let me know when you have him.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right now, put your hands right at heart level, just like this. Excellent, excellent, excellent. In your mind's eye, see in between your hands a white ball of light forming and filling up the space in between your hands. And this white light is love.
Okay.
Let me know when you get it.
Okay.
Excellent. Now, send this white ball of love light from your hands to your friend and watch the ball of white love light enter into her chest.
Okay.
Let me know when you've done it.
Yeah, she got it.
Excellent, excellent. And watch her shoulders relax.
Mm-hmm.
Watch a gentle smile start to appear on her face. Right now, bless the love light and repeat these words. You are growing more and more beautiful.
You are growing more and more beautiful.
Every day.
Every day.
In every way.
In every way.
Excellent. Oh, she just received that. And now, her shoulders are fully relaxed. She got a surge of energy that you just put inside.
Okay.
And she's smiling big now. Oh, dang. Wow. Okay. Say thank you to her for being in your life. Say thank you to this moment where you discover this power to send and place this love inside. and say thank you to God for granting this power to you.
Thank you, God, always.
And when you're ready, you can put your hands down and come back. So let me ask you this. When it comes to this friend, how does it feel to send this person love right now for you?
Feels good, you know. I mean, she's a great person, and she deserves that, just like every human being does.
Yeah, and so when you think back on that little moment where she's not sharing her food with you after you shared, is that situation bigger to you or smaller to you?
Oh, I mean, it's been small.
In the light of this love, right? In the light of this.
In the light of this, yeah, you know, it's a little thing. I mean, like even while speaking on it, I'm like, you know, it's a small thing.
Yeah. Do you feel like this love capacity, this ability to send this love, what if it actually affected her right now in this moment? What if she's actually having a better day because you took the time? Would you believe that something like that's possible?
Yeah, sure. You know, like through prayer and stuff.
Yeah, that energy can be sent, right? Like
energy is real.
Yeah, like we'll be able to watch this back because there's a frequency being captured, which means that this energy will be able to replay literally forever as long as this is up on YouTube. You dig what I'm saying? And so what if love's the same way? Do we have to go to the store in order to buy the love? Right, so which means that nobody can stop you from, if no one can stop you from actually sending the love because we didn't have to go anywhere to get it. So you can always send it, which means, real quick, how do you feel right now inside of your own body?
I'm calm, I'm cool.
Yeah, peaceful, right?
Yeah.
Huh. Which means that if no one can stop you from sending love, no one can ever stop you from being peaceful. Right? Because you notice how that love thing kind of, it clears out everything else. And so that's the real gift and the real game that you already had that day. So, you know, you just passed. you just got the whole mind game, man.
Yes,
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man.
Addy, thank you so much for coming on the show. Folks, did you see that one concept at the end, the entire point of that conversation? You see that I said, give me something that made you upset, that ticked you off. And he said, he brings up the young lady, the sharing of the food, the whole deal. And then towards the end, he's kind of like, well, you know, after we go through the exercise, after we tap back into the love frequency, he started to say, well, you know what? Yeah, I guess it's small and it's been small. You know what I'm saying? Even speaking on it, even uttering it, it don't really feel like it fits this frequency. It don't feel like something that clearly it was on his mind before we started having our conversation. But during that conversation, he's like, yeah, I guess even speaking on it, it don't really. I said, yeah, so you know, how are you feeling on the inside? He says, calm. I'm like, okay, that's like peaceful. What I was looking to do was create a relationship between the love that we tapped into mentally, psychoneurologically, right? And his current emotional state, his inner experience. And did you see the confirmation on his face when I said, you see how that love, it clears out all of the other negativity if we can but return to it. And you can see that he's viscerally like, yeah, I understand. I understand how this works. I can feel it. I just felt it. Even if it's just a situation that looks like it's this small at this point. Again, the problem with the human mind is that we'll take a small thing and we'll blow it out of proportion. So that one moment gets stacked against another moment, gets stacked against another moment. And now you start building inventory. You start building a case against the people who wronged you. And so what I'm saying is that in this exercise, what we're doing is we're neutralizing the energy to start. We're returning to the path of love to start, even after someone has taken us out of it. And that's really the conversation for tonight. That's really our conversation for tonight. Getting back to this path of love. When I say love, I also mean aware oneness, right? Being aware that reality is one. that we go with all things. You dig what I'm saying? We don't stand apart from all things, we go with it. We are part of a single reality, a single whole. And that wholeness is known by your aware faculty. You are aware of reality. And reality would disappear were you not aware. Therefore, we say that reality and awareness are one. Okay. Just so you understand the orientation that we are moving with tonight. But I know one other thing you need to understand is that Twin is in the room. He's saying a wonderful good evening, Dr. Shawn. May someone have a beautiful breakthrough. Good evening, Twin. Other twins in the room he's saying good evening, Dr. Shawn. Good evening, good evening. Felicity, my lady, is in the room. Good evening, love. Okay. Frequency time capsule. Twin saying frequency time capsule. Okay, okay. Never looked at it that way. Interesting, interesting. Okay, we're talking about this concept of returning to the path of aware oneness. Something about these past few weeks for me, for a lot of different things. But every time that I get on the Breakthrough Live and I begin to explore awareness, my practice deepens outside of the Breakthrough Live. But I get better somehow. I get more understanding somehow. It's as if showing up and doing this show allows me to deepen in a way that I could not otherwise on my own in such a short period of time. So, whenever I get that feeling, I keep following that feeling these past few weeks. These past few weeks have been interesting. It's like I told you last week. I mean, where do I even start? There's so many things that I want to cover tonight and talk to you about. As a matter of fact, let me take a moment and figure out which direction we going in right quick. Because eventually we're going to get to our laboratory experiment. But before we get there, these past few weeks, last week in particular, I had that conversation with the teacher. And the teacher is my teacher. And he's a Taoist mystic that I trained with for 10 years. I mean, now, 15. And he was just diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And so we set a time to speak. I couldn't speak with him on the phone. I was trying to stay strong with him, but then the tears start coming out. And then I was telling y'all about it last week, and then the tears start coming out. And so I was like, oh, damn, okay, well, a week went by. And so then I was like, all right, let's go ahead and have our conversation. So I just got off the phone with the teacher yesterday. And part of me was like, yo, how do I record these conversations? Like, how can I was like, yo, you want to do a podcast? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, people aren't even going to believe that you know what I'm saying? Like, you live, you don't have no videos online. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the era of the digital, bro. Like, come on, we got to do something. And you know what he said to me was so interesting. I wanted to talk about that because on one level, he diagnosed with stage 4. That's it's a death sentence, right? He knows. Me, as the person who cares so deeply about him, there's a lot of room for getting taken off your square, for succumbing to some idea of futility, maybe even for growing bitter. And so I think that conversation fits directly into tonight's topic, which is about returning to love, even when someone or something pulls you out. And so what I want to do is after our conversation, I wasn't able to record it. He's a private person. But what I was able to do was right after we hung up the phone, I came right back into my office and started writing out the conversation. And so the words you're about to hear are questions and answers from a dying ascended master to a student. I want to share those with you. And I do it, it's all written out in my breakthrough board. I'm sorry, my breakthrough binder, rather, the breakthrough binder. So this is just a binder that I use and I just fill it up. Typically, I get these inspirations in the middle of the night. And so I have to write them down. Eventually, they'll become books like Spiritual Responsibility and the others. But I just want to, this was the only thing that was lying around at the moment. So I wanted to write the joint in. So this is just yesterday. Just got off the phone with the teacher 1 week after his diagnosis. After his diagnosis, I asked 3 questions. Where does Earth energy go during macrocosmic orbit? This is just a question I was like, yo, I'm doing in the Taoist tradition, we have these things called the macrocosmic orbit, which is where you are clearly connecting with energy that exists outside of the human body, and you are drawing it into your nervous system, and you're able to essentially rejuvenate your health. The teacher himself was not supposed to, the doctor told him at 13 that he was going to die at 18, and the man is in his 70s. And so I was asking him, I was like, where does energy go during macrocosmic orbit? Listen to what he says. He says, let it go. Let the energy go where it wants to go. Don't force it, let it flow. You can do a couple complete cycles with the energy flowing out the top of your head, but then relax and allow it to go where it wants. On the Breakthrough Live, we've not done a lot of macrocosmic or microcosmic orbit energy work. We do other sorts of things. But for him to have said that, it was just like, ours is never about controlling energy. We are tapping in, we are witnessing energy. Something tells me that's going to be important later on tonight when we go into our conscious transformation laboratory. I asked him, I said, what do I need to do to show up for you right now? And he said, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not about to do this. Here we go. I said, what do I need to do to show up for you? He says, be yourself. I am the one that is about to receive everything. You're the one who will still be here. It is I who should be asking you what I can do for you. It's such a high level of awareness, folks, to know that we are spirit and we take on the limitations of the human form at the human form's current stage of evolution. And to understand that is to understand that once the human form breaks away, is vanished, is done, we return back to the original intelligence. I've always said that when we think about scientists, researchers trying to find life on other planets, they're always trying to find life as a discrete organism. They're thinking about intelligence as in a discrete organism rather than intelligence being the very fabric of existence that from time to time takes on the form of a discrete organism. You understand? And so, without having all of the instrumentation of the best researchers in the world, only having this ability to turn inward, he's arrived at the same conclusion that I've arrived at. I've never actually heard him say that before. He says, be yourself. I'm the one that is about to receive everything. So I'm watching him go through a diagnosis. You've just been told that you're about to die, and how quickly Can you return to the path of love after the doctor has given you that diagnosis? How quickly can you return back to the path of aware oneness after the doctor has given you that diagnosis? And oh, wait, yes, your wife is still going to be without you. She's going to be left behind. She's going to have to deal with the house that you used to take care of all of the yard work and all of the paperwork and busy work, and now she's going to be left alone. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't have long to prepare. How do you return back to the path of aware oneness when death is knocking at your door? And the doctor just told you. Hmm. He says, be yourself. I am the one that is about to receive everything. You see where I'm going with this? My next question was, should we record this conversation? Because we don't really have anything else documented. I mean, I put you in my book. I put, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got like a photo or two, but we don't have really anything else documented. And in flip, if we gotta do something with those photos. Like, we gotta put them somewhere that we can like actually access them. But yeah. And then he says this: recording. Were we to do a podcast? Like, I was like, you want to do the podcast, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? I was trying to get him on. I was like, you know what I'm saying? Let's have this conversation live. He said, listen, were we to do that, any recording is an attempt at self preservation. Let that go. We are not trying to preserve this knowledge. We are simply allowing this knowledge to instead proceed and go further in just the way you've been doing through your personal stories, your personal memories. Just let it go, let it flow. So, the idea that we're not even here to participate in an attempt at unnatural self preservation. When I say unnatural self preservation, I mean trying to preserve an ego, trying to divorce ourselves from reality so that we stand apart from it and say, okay, I'm one worthy of being honored. It's like, let that go. We are not here to preserve this knowledge. We are here to allow this knowledge to proceed. I next asked, how do you show up for your wife of 50 years and put affairs in order? I thought this was just important. He was like, have a plan you both agree on. Like, you know what I'm saying? He talking about the plan, talking about, the wills and all that stuff. And yeah, but like, honestly, I hadn't thought of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm glad somebody told me so I could tell you, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, so we just make a plan. That makes sense when you think about it, but it's like, you got to think about it. You feel me? I say, okay, what is your life perspective? Looking back over these last, 75 plus years, how was your time on Earth School? How was your time in Earth School? The idea that Earth is a dimension or a plane where we come to learn higher lessons and then we can ascend to a different dimension beyond. He says, I've enjoyed life, but I'd be lying if I said I liked all of it. I didn't do it all perfectly, but I did my best every day. So I said, what advice would you give to your 37-year-old self? You know what I'm saying? I was trying to figure out the game. I was going to say 20-year-old self, but then I was like, I ain't 20. 37-year-old self. He says, let go of your ego. It's not about you. Let go of your ego. It's not about you. I said, oh, what is the ego? When we say the ego, we're talking about really a habit of the hominid mind, a habit of the human mind that separates itself out from the rest of the totality of existence to which it belongs, so that it can utter the word me, and so that it can operate with a feeling of independence, a feeling of free will. And that has its use, but it is always an illusion. We are never operating in isolation. Each of us is powered by the elements of our universe. We all need oxygen. We need a certain level of a mixture of nitrogen and carbon in order to breathe. You dig what I'm saying? We need these organic compounds that we did not create. So we're always, all of our actions are always being fueled by something that is beyond our definition of me. Recognizing this, he's saying, let go of that ego. He's saying release your hold on that ego. It's not about you. So I follow that up. I said, is that because you see that the attachment to ego presents uh is that because you see that the attachment to ego prevents you from living fully and taking the chances your higher purpose is requiring in life? He says, yes, I couldn't have said it better. So watch this. I'm saying, is that because you see that the attachment to ego, not the fact that you have an ego, that's fine. Like the fact that the human mind works in this way, like that's like a feature, not a bug. It's a feature of the current stage of human evolution. Is that because you see that the attachment to ego prevents you from living fully and taking your chances, the chances that your higher purpose is requiring, seeing beyond fear so that you can make the appropriate move in following your highest nature? You could say your highest purpose, the path of true service, that which brings you fully to life. He says, for sure. So I say, okay, well, how would you coach your younger self through some of the tougher times in your life, knowing what you know now, particularly when money's low, particularly when, you know, he was an academic, PhD. So I call him the doc if when we actually speak. But he is an academic. So like, but he also in his earlier days struggled to get a faculty position at a university. So like to become an assistant or associate professor is what that faculty position means. And so it's like, okay, well, when money was tight, like how do you see those moments when you were 25, 30, 35, 40, 45? How do you see those moments now that you're here, fully retired, and no amount of money can save you? You dig what I'm saying? Like now, like you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm asking. I'm like, hey, how'd you think about them times? Like, what's the perspective for real, for real? He says. Mm. He said that suffering soon turns to opportunity, and in time, that opportunity turns into new suffering. Do not try to avoid suffering as many do. Instead, see suffering as the next step in your growth journey. Then you'll see suffering as serving you. See, I thought that was so powerful. When we talk about returning to this path of love, we are talking about returning to a path of oneness. And oneness accounts for both up moments and down moments. Oneness is always itself, and even the up moments and down moments. Let me say again, oneness is always itself. Think of a circle. A circle is always itself, regardless of what's happening within it. Oneness is always itself, regardless of an up moment and a down moment, which is to say, if we can mirror that oneness, if we can return to that path of oneness, we can maintain an equanimity in success and suffering. And indeed, we're able to stand back and recognize that success and suffering belong to the same success and failure, success and opportunity, success and suffering and opportunities all belong to the same reality. They go together. Suffering soon turns into opportunity. That problem that you got, eventually you're going to figure that out. Go to a new level. And at that new level in time, those new abilities, those new finances, those new relationships, they present new challenges. Now, none of that means that you need to actually be distraught about any of that. It just means that what he's saying is that if when you can recognize the basic flow of nature, you don't need to be distracted by its ebbs and flows. You can let it go. That's his point. You can let it go. And more to the point, you can see the very suffering as just the next stage in your growth. If you know that suffering follows, suffering births success, then the suffering becomes like a moment to just take inventory, respond to the challenge appropriately, and step into that next phase, knowing full well that within the suffering is a solution. But not getting so attached to solution, getting so attached to victory, getting so attached to winning that you try and protect it against any level of challenge. You're not going to be able to do that. The suffering and the opportunity go together. And as long as you don't get caught up in the waves of either, you can participate. This is what he's telling me. Yesterday, I said, in this we call growth, this notion of suffering to opportunity to suffering to opportunity. You dig what I'm saying? I said, in this we call growth. And he says, this we call the path. This we call the path. And so, folks, that's really what our conversation is about tonight, is returning to the path. When we talk about love, we were just working with Addy. When we talk about love, we were working with love from an energetic position. I wanted him to feel it. But the other way of working with love is from the mental position, seeing it from the level of awareness, which is what we are going to do tonight. I say to the teacher, I said, all the money in the world can't be of any benefit to you now. How do you think of the money chase so many spend their lives on? He said, money is a paper tiger. Paper tigers. It isn't even real. To spend your life force chasing it is a waste, as you will leave here with the same thing that you came in with. Nothing. And so when he's saying that, he's saying it not in a contrite or negative way. He's just saying, like, see reality clearly. See reality clearly. We got centibillionaires on the planet, and there's nothing wrong with that in terms of just numerical value. But if you're believing that being a centibillionaire is going to buy you even another century of earth living, that you're going to be able to extend your life by even 100 years, just 100, not 1,000, just 100, you're not seeing reality clearly enough, which means what? That to involve yourself, to overinvest yourself in an artifice, in a tool that is human created, when you know that your energies must be deployed elsewhere, or your energies must be deployed in a higher purpose that may actually leave cash on the table, but where your energies must be deployed on the path of aware oneness, on the path of love, you'd be a fool to go chase a paper tiger rather than the real deal, the real husk of reality, the real essence of reality. I said, this journey with you has meant the world to me. And he says, and to me too. I've looked forward to having this call for a long while. I'm finally glad we could have it. You like the metaphor of life as a school. I prefer to think of Earth life as a step. Once we are done here, we simply take the next step. And after that, the next step. On and on. It never ends. And that was our conversation. It was much longer than that, but that was what I could immediately jot down after the conversation, you know what I'm saying? Like in order to get as much down on paper as I could while it was still fresh and still, I could remember specific words and all that. But it is that conversation around letting go, around when we say letting go, we're talking about letting go of the ego, letting go of our attachment to individuality when we know that reality is much bigger. And so, what our conversation about tonight, how quickly can you return to the path of aware oneness when life would otherwise take you out? When somebody would come along and otherwise take you off of the path. And what I just saw from the teacher is somebody who is been diagnosed, given a death sentence, effectively knows that it's imminent, and still is taking the time to remember to let go. How quickly. It was just a week. It was just a week of time in between our first conversation and the one just yesterday. And so it was like following the diagnosis. And so it's like I can see a person come to grips quickly and not be plagued by fear. Indeed, understand exactly what is waiting, which is everything. He could have easily been like, well, you know what I'm saying? You think you can shoot me a couple bands? I need to do this. He could have said anything. He could have said anything. But he said, listen, I'm about to receive everything. You're the one that's still going to be here. So basically, how can I help you? To utter those words, it takes a special level of awareness and a life dedicated to walking the path. And maybe that's why I'm interested tonight in getting to our lab experiment. When you get these curveballs in life, whether it's a person who is you're interested in, you share your food, they don't share theirs, you know what I'm saying? Now you wondering, is this person who I thought they were, you know what I'm saying? Or is this relationship going where I think it is, you know? Or if it's a stage 4 diagnosis. How quickly can you return to this path of oneness? That's the question I'm asking myself tonight. Because folks, the big thing is, and this is oh yeah, I have to explain this part before we jump into our laboratory experiment because you'll understand what we're looking for precisely when we are talking about oneness, and you'll understand the new data that is confirming the power of returning to this path. In transcendent psychology, we use tools called conscious transformation technologies, CTTS, kits for short. These are tools that we use in order to return to aware oneness, in order to organize our own psycho spiritual habits, our own mental and emotional energy so that they're in alignment with the path of awareness, the path of consciousness, the path of clarity, so we can make our decisions accordingly. People historically have used or called these sorts of practices meditations. You've heard the word meditation. I often use the word meditation. The teacher was a meditation teacher. I like to think of this show as a meditation podcast. You feel me? But wait till you see this data that I have for you just now. Wait till you see this data. I'm thinking about, do I want to tell y'all this real quick? Okay, let me get to some of these concepts. Tanya's in the building. What's happening, Tanya? Okay, so Tanya is in the building. Twin saying that's crazy. We will be 37 Tuesday. What a number. What a number. What a number. Happy birthday. What a number. Yeah. And just that concept of let it go. This is what somebody, you talk about an old head. This is an old head who's giving the game. And it's like, okay. I said, do you feel like had you been able to let go? I was asking the teacher this. I was like, had you been able to let go, do you feel like you would have been able to live life with less fear? He was like, oh, of course. He was like, I would have been able to fail at a whole higher level, which is to say, I would have been able to succeed at a whole higher level. I was like, dang, man. And so when I think about my own path and a lot of you are in that situation where it's like you learned how to win early, and then the real journey is about learning how to live a life that you actually love. You feel me? And so, which means saying no to things that other people would say you were crazy for saying no to. You did. And so this past week, I was about to name this show. If you have children in the room, this is the time to take the children out or just cover their ears real quick. Just cover their ears. You're 21 and under, cover your ears real quick. All right? Cover your ears. For the grown folk, I was about to name this show. The question that we were going to be working with was, oh, actually, young people here, and I'll go like this when it's time for you to open your ears up, okay? I was about to name this show. The question was going to be, what if the deepest path is doggy style? Okay. The reason I was going to name it that is because of the data that just came across my desk. The research that just came across my desk, I decided for the path of aware one is better. But the idea is this. Let me show you this. Let me show you my screen real quick. Let me show you my screen real quick. Okay, can you hear me? Somebody let me know that you can hear me. So somebody let me know that you can hear me. Before I go on and start really doing my dizzle out here. Put in the chat, yes, I can hear you. Put in the chat. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so here we go. Okay, saying we can hear you. Okay, cool. So here we go. Meditation and molecular genetic change, a literature review. What's a literature review? In academia, it just means that we want to look up and find all the best research within maybe the last 10 years on a given topic. And we want to find all of the research that's been written on that one topic. And we want to bring it all together because we need to know what has been said or is being said in order to say something new, right? So I need to be able to review all of the literature in order to posit a new hypothesis and ultimately develop out any new theoretical basis or make use of any theory in order to come and arrive at a new level of understanding, right? So this is just the scientific approach. This is how it works in academia. So this is what I put together. Meditation and molecular genetic change, a literature review. Okay, so watch this. What I was looking for was think of kits, conscious transformation technologies. Think of these as meditations. What they are meditations, but they're systematized in a very unique way, so that you don't have to be sitting on a chair for hours and hours in order to get the deep benefit. But here's what's so interesting: meditation does not appear to alter the DNA sequence itself, but rather influences how genes are expressed and regulated and affects the protective structures, these things called telomeres, at the ends of the chromosome. Epigenetic and expression level change is shown inside of this research. And it is scientifically supportable version of the DNA level change thesis, and it is well documented across dozens of studies reviewed below. So I've got this whole thing, right? And so what am I saying? I'm basically saying that, let me get back. I'm basically saying that when we are doing this meditation, what we are doing is in meditation, conscious transformation technologies, same thing for the purpose of this conversation. Even though they're different, they're the same thing. You can think of kits as a type of meditation, whatever you want to say it, but or you can even say meditation is a type of kit. The point is that when we are involved inside of these consciousness expansive activities, we are actually turning on specific traits. You already have these genes, but the situation is that genes get turned on or off in our environment. And so when we can take a moment to meditate, as this research is going to show, we're actually turning on positive genes and turning off negative genes, turning on genes that serve us and turning off the ones that don't, turning off their expression, how they show up, the traits that are actually deployable. But notice the research says that we do not turn off the structure. We do not, like, meditation is not actually augmenting your DNA. It's merely augmenting the expression of the genes that you already have. Okay, we need to get clear about that. So it's the difference between fundamental DNA restructuring, which is not what we're talking about, and epigenetic change, or the gene expression that ends up lengthening your what's called telomeres, which basically is an anti-aging. It's like telomeres are how researchers identify how old an organism is. It's like a reliable way of finding out what the particular age is. You just look at the level of degradation that happens on the chromosome. And so what this research is saying is that meditation actually extends, rejuvenates those chromosomes, right? So it has an anti-aging effect. That's just one element. And so let me show you where my argument goes, because this is what the research is saying, but I want to show you what I'm saying that is not in the research, but I believe one day will be verified. So here's what I'm talking about. Dre's in the room. Welcome in, Dre. Okay, here we go. All right. So remember, this is saying that it does not alter the DNA sequence itself. I'm arguing that DNA expression level change, epigenetic change, initiated through meditation and specifically conscious transformation technologies, encourages over time sociosexual selective pressures that drive the habitual mating patterns between males and females who carry certain desirable trait expressions made possible by meditation practice. This mating selection over the course of millennia can adjust structural DNA sequences at the population level, redefining how human beings interact with reality and each other. Okay, so what does all that mean? Basically, I'm saying this. I'm saying this that while we know the research confirms that the meditation right now has this effect, literally closing your eyes, breathing, doing mindfulness, all the stuff that we be doing up on the Breakthrough Live has the effect of actually affecting your cells, affecting your body at a cellular level. It can literally help you increase oxygen to your cells. You dig what I'm saying? Increase blood flow to your body, and carries this anti-aging property with it, because what you're doing is turning off these, lowering your cortisol levels, your stress hormone levels. You dig what I'm saying? You're getting into a state where your nervous system can literally reset and recharge better than just if you try to just go to sleep and get a good nap. You dig what I'm saying? Not only that, your capacity for dealing with challenges as they appear, that increases. So we're going somewhere with this tonight. Stay tuned. This is what I'm saying. What I'm making the argument is that those traits, people who look youthful, people who can handle challenges without getting overly fearful, overly stressed, people who have a sureness about them and a confidence about them, people who, again, have enough understanding of their own thought patterns, their own emotional, psychological, and emotional patterns, that they don't get in their own way and stop themselves from doing the things that they said they were going to do. You know what that's just called? It's called attractive. That's called attractive. It's called like sexy. You dig what I'm saying? Like attractive. And so if your mate has that capacity, they've been doing their kits. They've been meditating. They've been doing, you know what I'm saying? They are well conditioned in this environment. Whereas the research says that it does not cause structural DNA change, I'm saying that the very socio-sexual selective pressures. What is sexual selective pressure? It means that organisms pass on genes through sexual reproduction. Yes? Okay, great. But at a population level, what counts as an attractive partner is based on environment, climate, where you are in time. You dig what I'm saying? Where you are in geography. And as a result of that, you see different populations of organisms making different choices about which mates are going to be attractive to them. And so what I'm saying is that having this mental toughness, this higher mental adaptability, this resilience, this fortitude, this ability to face large challenges and face them for a long time and still win, that's attractive universally. which means that as more and more human beings are engaged, displaying these traits, they're turning on these traits that are already within them, they're turning them on. As those human beings begin to be selected for, those traits also get selected for until over time they become the base level component of this new human being. And of course, that new human being we call on this show Homo amorous, the being of love, the one that has returned, that is living in the path of love. When I say love, I mean dwelling in reality, dwelling in clear oneness. You understand? Which of course relates to our conversation tonight. So when I said that the deepest path is, you know what? I'm talking about the selective pressures that, in my opinion, must occur when organisms are displaying these hyper attractive traits. They've turned on these hyper attractive traits. That means women are not going to be interested in the dude who's always sweating and fearful and, you know what I'm saying, you're always grabbing guns and always trying to, look around the window trying to figure out who's trying to hurt him. That dude just doesn't, it's not that he's inferior, it's just that he hasn't taken the time to turn on his more positive traits. And so I think that those types of choices will end up adding up, will end up creating I say, sociosexual selective pressure that drives habitual mating patterns between males and females. And that those traits that are driving this selective pressure will come about through this psychoneurological turning point, through conscious transformation. That human beings are at a tipping point where we can actually activate these epigenetic traits through conscious means. That's why being in the lab is so important. Let me get back to this real quick because I gotta get to some place before I get to some place. You feel me? So here we go. So these desirable traits include, I'm saying, mental toughness, tolerance, fortitude, resilience, and adaptability. What's tolerance? How much you can take in life. Fortitude, how long you can take it. Or rather, tolerance is how long you can endure something. Fortitude is how much of it you can endure. Resilience is how quickly you can get back to the path of progress, how quickly you can get back to continuing your journey. You dig what I'm saying? And adaptability is how quickly you can find a new way to win. Okay, so that higher mental adaptability means less oxidative stress from challenges. Less oxidative stress from challenges means a more youthful appearance, even into old age, longer lifespans relative to that individual, greater ability to face challenges and take life-promoting risks, more nervous system energy for sexual fecundity, greater ability to forge tighter, mutually beneficial communities and networks to defend against external threats, greater love of living, greater love of being, build stronger environments that makes people want to remain in community with one another, greater psychosomatic connection with environment and others, creates a personal sense of fulfillment and non-attachment that engenders a fundamental enjoyment of living regardless of environmental pressures, enhancing the ability to live in mutual relationship with the environment rather than exploiting the environment. Higher mate detection and selection based on the perceived qualities. Women will choose to carry the offspring of men who choose love over fear. Men will choose to mate with women who express love over fear. That's the idea here. Expanded individual psychosomatic awareness in and within the environment creates greater network coordination within groups as humans detect changes in the intention tone of others before any action is ever taken. I call this new psychosomatic awareness universal objective empathy. So what am I saying? Basically, I'm talking about humans are going to be able to sense when somebody is like the fear will produce a pheromone and people like it'll smell bad. It'll smell like, oh gosh, this person is I don't know. I kind of just don't, they're not in the right mood today. I'm gonna go hang out somewhere else. I'm gonna go. And so all of these people who today go undetected, have all these hidden agendas. The people of the future are going to be able, you're going to be able to detect. The thing about meditation is it allows for you to ground yourself in the present moments. You're paying more attention. You're going to be able to detect when somebody is prevaricating, when somebody's lying. You're going to be able to know. And so that intention tone, humans that can sense those intention tones will naturally self-select to be involved with other humans that have the best interest of the whole over the best interest of the individual itself. And so we're not talking about new traits that no one's ever displayed in history. We're talking about traits that anyone could display where they just given the time to be quiet and sit with their eyes closed. Right? So the superior, you can call it the superior human. The superior human doesn't, it is not some chosen group, but is a collective project, something that is birthed, that proceeds from us when we take the time to turn within, to return to the path of oneness. And so let me get back to this. I gotta say this real quick. Okay, here we go. The reason I keep going is because I have to get to a place. So there's so much stuff about telomeres, about chromosomes, about rejuvenating energy. All of this stuff. This stuff is so fascinating. I might have to break this down on a different episode. But one of the things is that inside of these studies, like you're seeing, you know, earlier work on Zen meditators found expert practitioners had significantly long average telomere length and fewer critically short telomeres than non-meditator meditating controls, right? The control just means than groups that didn't meditate, right? So meditation reduces cognitive stress and stress arousal, lowering cortisol and oxidative stress while increasing protective hormonal factors. Okay, so this is coming straight out of the data. You dig what I'm saying? And so that's cool. I just wanted to show you a piece. This is just a small piece of this lit review. But so you're getting a sense that cognitive stress, stress arousal, lowering cortisol, stress hormones, lowering oxidative stress, the while increasing protective hormonal factors, all that stuff is being captured inside of current research. And I'm just saying what happens when that reaches a scale. Eventually it's not just traits that get expressed, it becomes the new operating system. It becomes like these are the only traits that are now available. These are like the traits that over time, I'm saying that, and I'm talking millennia, it's over thousands of years, hundreds of thousands, like that those traits get selected for become a new baseline. They change the very structure of the human genome. Not in a massive way, don't need to be massive, but enough. Okay, so inside of these studies, they use something called, let me get to it. I'm scrolling all the way down. Here we go. The Pank Richards Mystical Experience Questionnaire. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll take blood, you know what I'm saying, and actually measure, chemically what's happening inside of a person's body. But that can only tell us what's happening inside of their body quantitatively. Qualitatively, like what's happening in your experience, they'll use a questionnaire for that. And this particular questionnaire that people use is called the Ponk Richards Mystical Experience Questionnaire. So there are 100 items in the State of Consciousness questionnaire. 43 items comprise the Ponk Richards, okay, and it provides this scale. Recall that our conversation tonight is about the path of oneness, returning to the path of love. Love means oneness, aware oneness. Okay, great. Watch how these questions sound. So, for instance, after we have our experiment tonight, you would be able to say on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being very strong or extreme and 0 being none, not at all, so basically 0 to 5, you would be able to ask yourself these questions. Did you have a loss of your usual identity? They want to find out your internal unity. Did you have a loss of your usual identity? Scale of 1 or 0 to 5. Did you have freedom from the limitations of your personal self and feeling, a unity of bond with what was felt to be greater than your personal self? Did you experience pure being and pure awareness? This is for real, for real. Like, I mean, I just found this questionnaire, and I just found that it was being deployed in research. But this is like a for real way of gauging whether somebody is having a mystical experience. Pure being, pure awareness. If you've been watching this show, how many times would you expect? How would you answer every time we go into the lab? Did you have an experience of oneness in relation to an inner world? Did you experience the fusion of your personal self into a larger whole? Did you experience unity with ultimate reality? It keeps going. Did you experience oneness or unity with objects and or persons perceived in your surroundings? Again, this becomes that love component. With eyes open, seeing something in your surrounding more and more intensely, and then feeling as though you and it became one. Did you experience the insight that is all is one? This is a for real. I don't know if I need to remind y'all. This is for. I did not write this. Other researchers from the University of Oklahoma, you know what I'm saying? All of these different public institutions, and likely some private, are using this questionnaire, deploying it inside of their studies, deploying it inside of their research that gets peer reviewed and put out, right? So college kids, if they are in psychology, they're going to be reading some of this stuff, depending on their niche and topic and all that. This is not, I'm not making this up. So did you experience a loss of feelings of difference between yourself and objects or persons in your surroundings? Just to give you a sense of what this is like. Did you lose your sense of time? Did you experience eternity or infinity? Did you lose your usual sense of space? Can you sense being outside of time, beyond past and future? Being in a realm with no space or boundaries? Experience of timelessness? Dude, are you seeing what I'm saying? This, for them, this is the path of love, the path of oneness, the path of aware oneness. Being in a realm with no space and boundaries, and you're aware of that. If it's got no space and boundaries, that means it's infinite. That means it is fundamentally one with all. And you're aware of it. That's aware oneness. This is the path. And so they're asking people, hey, did you get on the path? Were you on the path of aware oneness? Let me finish. Did you sense that the experience cannot be described adequately in words? So, twin, this is for you. Twin, this happens to twin all of the time. Like when it can't be quite put in words. It happens to all of us all of the time. Experience of a paradoxical awareness that two apparently opposite principles or situations are both true. Okay, cool. So you get the point here. Experience of amazement. Did you sense the limitations and smallness of your everyday personality in contrast to the infinite? Bro, I'm like, did I read these questions? Like, you know what I'm saying? Did you sense the limitations and smallness of your everyday personality in contrast to the infinite? Didn't we just see Addy do this on the street? Not 5 minutes after meeting him? Didn't we just sense that? Didn't we just sense that? What I'm suggesting for you is that if this is indeed that path of oneness, that path of aware oneness, that path of love, it's no wonder that the teacher can face his own mortality with such equanimity. And it would also be no shock that were we to return to the path, we could face our challenges with such equanimity. And so tonight, as we go into the lab, I'd be interested and seeing how quickly we can't return to that path of oneness, that path of aware oneness, that path of love. I'd be interested. And at the end, perhaps we'll come back and ask some questions, answer some of these questions on the questionnaire. But we've got to actually look. We've actually got to go into the lab and experience this. So let's do that now. What we want to do at this time is find a comfortable place where you can turn within. Right now, we are going into the Conscious Transformation Laboratory. This is the place where we are going to ask the questions and search for the answers that cannot be put in a book, that someone else can't just tell us about. We have to experience. So we go into the lab directly. This is the moment for you to find a place. If you are seated, you are sitting at the edge of your chair, feet firmly planted on the floor, hands on your lap. And the teacher always taught me to imagine an invisible string coming from the ceiling and attaching into the crown of your head. This imaginary string holds your entire body up all by itself. And this simple visualization simply helps you to keep your back straight so that oxygen can flow, blood can flow, and energy can flow throughout your body. If you are standing feet shoulder width apart, hips slightly tucked in, shoulders relaxed, and that same string coming from the ceiling, attaching into the crown of your head and holding your entire body up all by itself. If you are lying down, you are lying down flat on your back, hands by your side, with your head slightly tilted up, keeping your back straight the entire time. The teacher always taught me to put the tip of the tongue at the roof of my mouth and this connects the energetic circuit of the head with the throat, with the torso, with the legs, and with the greater atmosphere. Let's get into the lab right now. Take one deep breath in with me. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more large inhale in, feeling the air in your lower belly. Exhale. At this time, you may close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, become aware of the darkness behind your eyes. Without applying any force, allow your awareness to extend from the darkness behind your eyes and see if you can trace with your eyes closed. See if you can sense the space of the inner body. Become aware of not only the darkness behind your eyes, but the space within your skull, jaw, throat, chest, shoulders, arms, belly, hips, thighs, calves, feet. Become aware that all of this space is connected. It is one space, now filled entirely with your awareness. Sense your entire inner body as one united whole. You are completely aware of the space inside the body. Abide here. See if you can imagine this space of the inner body. Imagine that this space extends outside of the body. Imagine that this space of the inner body connects easily with the space that exists outside of the body. Now, simply allow your awareness to be aware of both the space inside the body as it connects through the bones, through the skin, to the space outside the body. Notice awareness, noticing. Become aware of awareness, noticing this connected space. Notice awareness, noticing that the space inside the body is completely connected with all of the space outside the body. Feel this expanse. Allow this expansive feeling to flow into awareness, to unfold inside awareness. Allow the physical body to completely dissolve in this expansive space. Who are you now? Rest here. Notice that everything that can be felt appears in this space. But the space surrounds it. Every sensation, every itch, every feeling, every thought appears in this space. But the space surrounds it. There is always more space than sensation, more space than thought, more space that is bigger than any feeling. Notice now. Should any thought appear for you, watch the thought appear within this immense space. You do not need to chase the thought away. Simply allow the thought to appear and watch it as it passes through the spacious sky of your awareness. What if there was no distinction between the space you are currently aware of and the space of the entire universe? What if the two were one? Now, notice this. Imagine infinity. Imagine it emanating from within, connecting the space of the inner body with all the space outside the body, all the space, including all the space of this planet, of this galaxy, of this universe, of all universes, all space existing within this awareness. Now, all space existing within this awareness, and you are that awareness. All space existing in this awareness, and you are that. thoughts come. Simply observe the thought, moving within this immense space of awareness. Simply allow the thought to come and go when it is ready. Observe the thoughts remaining as this immense, spacious awareness. Remaining aware of this immense spaciousness. No thought or feeling can compare to this immense spaciousness. Observe. Notice all of this space appears in awareness. The very awareness that is now aware of the darkness behind your eyes. Return to the darkness behind your eyes. Knowing that the totality of that infinity exists within this awareness. the very awareness that is aware of the darkness behind your eyes now. It is always available. You can return whenever you like. Take one deep inhale in with me. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Ooh. Okay, folks. I want to know your experience working in tonight's lab. Put it in the chat. For me, I got the sense that that expansiveness. I got the sense of that expansiveness that extends beyond connecting with the space of the inner body. Immediately, eh, that feeling of connecting with the space of the outer body, and that infinity was proceeding from inside to out. And I noticed that throughout most of the exercise, it was very difficult to have thoughts. When I was focused on space, it was difficult to have thoughts. And yet, sitting in it, thoughts began to appear, but then I noticed that the thoughts were really tiny, like think like a chocolate chip in an ocean. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the thoughts were really tiny compared with the immensity of all of that space. But then when we got to the end in the teaching, the spirit basically says, that even all of that space is itself inside of awareness, which means that awareness is dimensionless. It is not big, it is not small. All of that space is inside of it, and that we can come back to it whenever we like, which is to say that we can always return. I guess the feeling would be something more like, if imagine if every human being was just a portal to infinity, to the same infinity. Like if you ever see Sesame Street, sometimes they'll bring the letters of the alphabet to life and they'll anthropomorphize the letter O, for example. Imagine if every human was like the letter O, and in the space between running through the body is this infinite space that connects with everything else. Okay. Okay. Right, 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 right. Because there's that connection to that oneness. Okay. I want to write this down. I want to get to the breakthrough board. We need to get to tonight's principle, pattern, and path. I like to teach from principle because if I can understand the principle behind the thing, then I can architect my own path forward regardless of whatever else I know. And so tonight, we want to be able to excavate to identify what the principle, the pattern, and the path is, what the principle, pattern, and the path are. And so let's get to that. Before I do, let me check in with y'all. Okay, so you said, do y'all know people pay good money for this? Oh my gosh. I only hope people take the meat, leave the bone. We all need something like this. Beautiful. I received the question or presence of the who am I, or better yet, what am I? Absolutely, twins. Yes, 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 yes. Let's get to the principal pattern in the path we need to get to the breakthrough board. Let's do that now. Okay, I'm here with the breakthrough board, and tonight we need to work with this principle. I want to find out what tonight's principle is. The only way to do that is to actually turn within. Okay, Felicity, my love, my wife is saying the teacher said he's about to receive everything. Well, I got to feel a piece of everything and the piece of everything. All right, all right, all right. Okay, okay, it's bringing out the poet in you. I see. Yeah, right. The teacher said he's about to receive everything. Oh, right though. So she's about to receive everything. You said, well, you got to feel a piece of everything and the piece of everything. A cold line. That's a bar. That's a bar. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, I just want y'all to feel me on this letter O. Okay, like you know what I'm saying? Like y'all know I spend all day with the baby. And so it's like my little baby. So we watch a lot of Sesame Street. So sometimes they be having these cats. They be looking like the alphabets. Okay, this is brought to you by the letter O. I guess it kind of look like a Pokemon, if you remember the original 150. All right, anyway, so but this is a letter O. And I'm just trying to represent this graphically. It is as if every human being were akin to this level O, it's like all of this open space connects this entity with everything else, with all of eternity, right? This space that is flowing through this organism is the space of the limitless. It has no beginning, no middle, no end, but it flows through the organism. You dig what I'm saying? That's akin to what I felt tonight. And apparently it's akin to what my lady felt tonight. The piece of everything. You dig what I'm saying? Like like as if that oneness is flowing through. I mean, the fact that it's a letter O and O is the letter that we use for oneness, it's so appropriate because it reflects the fact that oneness flows through us. That the space just outside of Mr. O Man and the space on the backside of Mr. O Man, they're continuous. And so it is with us. That spaciousness that we talk about infinity proceeding from within us, connecting us. It is as if, I mean, the best thing I can think is that each of us is like the letter O Man, Mr. O. Okay? Mr. O. Where the connected space of eternity is not just around us, but within us. And so I ask tonight, what is our principle? Mm, mm. Connected space with this thing. There's so many levels to this, actually. Like, again, as I always say, we behold the circle. The circle has no beginning, no middle, no end. It's eternal in that sense. And so what I noticed inside of the exercise is that infinite space, that all of that spaciousness, it existed within awareness. You dig what I'm saying? So the principle then becomes regarding our conversation about how quickly can you return to the path of love, which is to say, how quickly can you return to the path of aware oneness? For me, it's a matter of connecting with the space of the inner body, seeing that that space is connected with the space outside of the body, and recognizing that that space is itself infinite, and recognizing that that infinity exists within awareness. That without awareness, I would not be able to experience any sort of space. So, indeed, the immensity of that space exists within awareness. You understand? But the principle, the only way to find this principle is to turn within. Hmm. When it comes to our question, how quickly can you return to the path of love, which is the path of aware oneness. The principle is. Okay. Existing. It's taking me a minute tonight. It's kind of taking me a minute. We say, how quickly can you return to the path of oneness? And the thing is that when I return to the space within, even just the space of the inner body, I get connected with a tangible oneness. Because it's easy for me to experience that one sensation inside the body as connecting with that which is outside, because the space becomes continuous. So I just wrote something down, but I'm hesitant to kind of share it. I think I'm gonna sit just for a second more. But it's like we're going kind of late, but then I'm like, damn, I can't rush this. Yeah, it's like okay, I can sense this space, this tangible oneness. It connects me with the all in all, but then there is a higher level, right? Like I can feel my body dissolve. Like I don't know if y'all felt that. I felt my body dissolve. And there was just this spaciousness, just this immensity, but then even all of that immense space is itself appearing inside of awareness. My thoughts appear within the space appears within that awareness appears everywhere, right? The awareness, I can't get away. There's nothing in my experience where I can get away from awareness. Even if someone comes and knocks me out, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still aware of the dreams. Like, so the awareness cannot be approached or ran away from. You cannot come closer to it or get away from it. It itself is not spacious in the sense of dimensionality. And yet, were I to return to the path of oneness, to a tangible path of oneness, that spaciousness is helpful as a quick anchor. Spaciousness is helpful as a quick anchor. Shall we work backwards tonight? Maybe we start with the path, and then we work to the pattern, and then we come to the principle. Because I don't, I'm like really drawing a blank. Let's try it. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's work let's work with that. I would say tonight's path forward, how we can return quickly to that fact of pure oneness, is to connect with that space. That space is tangible oneness. You can literally feel the space of, you can become aware of the space of your inner body and recognize that space, you can also become aware of how that space connects. You can sense that connection between the inner body and the outer body, right? You can sense the space of your fingers. You can sense what's happening inside of your hand, the tingling inside of your hand, the tingling that's running through the space inside of your hand. And you can also sense the space in between your fingers, right? The awareness goes to both places, which is to say that this awareness, one of the ways that we arrive at this felt sense of oneness is to return to the very awareness of space itself. That becomes our mode of tangible oneness. We are back in that aware oneness. We are now aware of oneness. The space is what connects all things. Okay, cool. So working backwards, if we can remember that space, what I saw is that thoughts appearing in that space seemed infinitesimal. You feel me? Like thoughts appearing in that space seemed infinitesimal. It was like, it's like, let me see if I can draw old man again. Little old dog. Okay. Remember him from Sesame Street? Our little old man. Like, and like a thought was just like a little dot. A feeling or emotion was just a little dot. And like there weren't too many of them. And not only were they dots, they were traveling, right? So they're kind of coming and going. They were not enough to take over the full space. And certainly they were not enough to compromise all of the space of infinity and eternity that I was feeling. They were not enough. They were just, you know what I'm saying? So not only are they existing, but they're also traveling. They're coming and going. They're here and then they're fading out. So by just returning to that space, I get perspective on my own, on the magnitude of my own thoughts and feelings. And it turns out that those joints are hella small compared to the immensity of the space that I'm feeling running through me. You dig what I'm saying? That was what I experienced in the lab tonight. And so I saw that I was able to connect quickly with that eternal oneness when I was paying attention to the space. Okay. So our path forward would be to recognize that that space is the tangible oneness. Okay. We're working backwards tonight. So we start with the solution. We're about to work back to the principle. So we start with the solution tonight and tonight only, unless we do it in the future. The path forward is to become aware of that spaciousness that connects within with without. That puts us back into the realm of that oneness, that felt experience of oneness, puts us back on the path where our thoughts and feelings become infinitesimal within this larger ocean of immense space, of infinity itself. Okay, you could call it infinite spaciousness itself. Cool. So now, what's the pattern? What's the reason that we get into trouble with all this in the first place? Like, how do we ever manage to forget? Like, if we know this, then how is suffering ever possible for the human being? How does anyone even get into an issue in the first place? Well, I think there's a certain, how do I say this? Let me see, like it's like, something like this. I'm gonna draw it. I'm gonna draw it for you. How's that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is an eye, and this eye is shut. Because what I'm saying is that the pattern tonight, these are eyelashes. What I'm saying is that you know what, I'll draw another eye. And this eye is also shut. What I'm saying is that people are blind to the inner space connection. We have a certain blindness to the space of our own being. How many are taught to connect with the space of the inner body and sense the connection, the bridge between the space of the inner body as it passes through the bones, the skin, and connects with the space outside of the body? Everyone can do it, but to actually take the time to pay attention, that's what the eyes represent. They represent attention itself. To take the time to pay attention to the inner space connection, you're going to miss that oneness. You're going to miss that felt experience of oneness. This is the first task, the first objective, the first step, if you will, before you can feel that energetic flow of love on a consistent basis. Because until you can perceive the universal oneness, it's going to be hard to try and drum up some love for other people that you don't know, for other organisms that you don't know. It's going to be hard to drum up love for activities that don't get you money. It's going to be hard to drum up love for higher purpose if it don't pay well. You dig what I'm saying? It's going to be hard to let go of ego. Let go of your attachment to ego so that you can pursue and make the choices necessary that align with your higher destiny. It's going to be real difficult to do all that because the survival operation, the survival mechanism is going to kick in and say, hey, look, if it ain't making no cash, you're going to have to drop that. Or, hey, look, if this person isn't going to reciprocate how they need to in this particular moment, you're going to have to drop them. You dig what I'm saying? Or it'll keep you hanging around people long after you should have walked away. You feel me? So, either way, when we are not dwelling in clear reality, when we're not connected with real clarity, we have a certain blindness, and being blind creates that inner space disconnection. And so now we start to feel like we're isolated entities floating alone on a rock in the middle of space. You dig what I'm saying? Fear becomes a natural response. The struggle to survive becomes a natural response. Because if you're just an individual, rather than something continuous, then you can be threatened. You dig what I'm saying? Like that would only make sense once you lose that essential connection. Fortunately, the teacher, after being given his diagnosis, he was able to return to that essential connection. So now we finally ask ourselves the question: what is the principle? This is the part. All right, here we go. Here's the principle. The principle of tonight. Typically, we do this first, but the principle is simply this: all oneness exists in awareness. Are we spelling stuff wrong? But the point is that all oneness exists in awareness. All spatial oneness, all spacious oneness, all of it exists in that awareness. And so at the end of our exercise of our lab experiment tonight, we saw that all that immensity was contained inside of this otherwise dimensionless awareness. It is neither big nor small, and yet it contains all big, all small. So we might say that if all spatial oneness exists in awareness, then this awareness becomes the supreme oneness, the very one that is aware of the darkness behind the eyes, the very one that is aware of this darkness behind the closed eyelids during our exercise. And as a result of that, this spatial oneness is always available. We can always reconnect. We can always remind ourselves, return to this path of oneness simply by connecting with inner space, which and observing its connection with outer space, you know, because both spaces constitute a oneness that necessarily exists within simple awareness. Now, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a powerful lesson for the evening. And it's like, you know, if you can remember that, and if I can remember that, it's like I can start to see how the teacher can meet his fate with grace. And I can start to see how I can do the same. Dre is saying, once I felt the space connection around my body felt tiny. My issues were almost non existent. I felt like I was connected to everything. I also felt like my awareness was being watched. Ah, okay. Now let's do it. I knew one of y'all was about to get it. Did you sense the limitations and smallness of your everyday personality in contrast to the infinite? Dre is saying, yay. Dre is saying yay. So you are scoring. So on a scale of 0 to 5, Dre offered that to what I'm saying. I didn't even come back to this. I forgot. I was actually forgetting about this joint. Um, did anybody sense that the experience cannot be described adequately in words? Did you lose your usual sense of time? Okay. Did you have an experience of oneness or unity with objects and or persons perceived in your surroundings? Right? Did you experience the insight that all is one? Did you lose your usual identity, freedom from the limitations of your personal self, and a feeling of unity or bond with what was felt to be greater than your personal self? I'm just giving you the data as it appears inside of academic institutions. You could take this stuff into any university in the world, into their psych department, and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, we've heard of the Punk Richard scale. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody going to say that. But tonight, the difference is that you got into the Breakthrough Live laboratory and you were able to discover something that simply can't be taught in books. So the question then becomes, can you remember this path of aware oneness, regardless of whatever challenges may arise. Because if you can, then you would be ready for your boy coming through. Y'all know what time it is. It's Breakthrough Turtle time. Every week, Breakthrough Turtle comes through on Divine Turtle time. Breakthrough Turtle. So, what you got for us this week? In order to get the breakthrough, we gotta first break him out then. The breakthrough. He's saying he got something special for us that's gonna connect with everything we've been looking for. Good looking. All right. Set you down, Breakthrough Turtle. Appreciate you, fam. Okay, so here you go. He got this right here for us. Hold on. Hold on. All right. They got the turtles in the chat. They say, "What up, B?" Break the Turtle said, "What up, though?" You ain't from Detroit, but he like Detroit pizza. Okay, so here we go. Does a man who is acting on the stage in a female part forget that he is a man? Similarly, we too must play our parts on the stage of life, but we must not identify ourselves with those parts. Ramana Maharshi. Does a man who is acting on the stage in a female part forget that he's a man? Similarly, we too must play our parts on the stage of life, but we must not identify ourselves with those parts. When the teacher opted out of recording and he said to try and record this knowledge in this way, he's saying that's not my role. That's not my part on this stage of life. He said, you keep doing what you're doing through your personal stories, but if I were to get on and be trying to preserve my voice through media, that would be a disservice because that's not my role. That would be trying to engage in egoic self preservation. He says, mine was to teach. That was my role. Your role is something different. For you, it can make sense to be online making the media and doing the thing. But that's not the part that I was to play. That's the part that you were to play. This is what the teacher was saying to me. And so the point is that all of us are in these human forms carrying out a divine role. Know the role, but do not get so caught up in it, so overly identify and attached to it that you become fearful should that role ever be threatened. Because as the teacher said, he's about to receive everything. And I think what we're seeing tonight is that we are that everything. That's exactly what we miss when we trade everything in order to just marry ourselves to a human role. You cannot forget who you are. We must not identify ourselves with the parts because we know that we are the whole and that the whole flows through each of its parts, each of these parts in each of us. We play our part. And when we're done, we return to the whole. But the key is to remember the whole as you play the part. That's some good stuff, Breakthrough Turtle. You come through with them, don't you? You come through with them. And so, folks, what an evening. Another one. Another one. I thank you for being here, for playing your part in making the Breakthrough Live a wonderful place to be for me on these Sundays. And as always, I leave you just with one final thought, which is that if fear is our only enemy, then we bring heaven to earth when we transform our minds. I'm Dr. Shawn, and we were not sent to impress our people. We were sent to transform our people into a light for the world, for God's universe opens to all who believe in breakthrough.